The Paradox of Progress: How Black Women Are Redefining Success in an Era of Contradiction. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm truly honored to be here sharing insights from my recent interview with Leanne Dolce, the visionary creator behind the Soft Girl Era podcast. Leanne isn't just a podcaster, she's a revolutionary voice who's fundamentally reshaping how we understand Black women's experiences in America's professional landscape. Through her brilliant combination of data driven analysis and soul stirring storytelling, she's created a sanctuary where hard truths meet healing wisdom. Her work doesn't merely document challenges, it transforms them into launch pads for radical reimagination of what success, power, and fulfillment can look like for Black women, and ultimately for all of us. What I'm about to share with you today might challenge your assumptions about progress in America. It might make you uncomfortable, but I believe the most important conversations often do. Let me start with a striking contradiction that emerged from my conversation with Leanne. Black women in America today are the most educated demographic group in the country. They're enrolling in and completing college and graduate programs at higher rates than any other group. This should be cause for celebration, right? A clear indicator of progress and opportunity. Yet in April of 2025 alone, Black women lost 38,000 jobs. Their unemployment rate jumped a full percentage point in just 1 month, reaching 6.1%. This isn't just a random market fluctuation, it's part of a pattern. At the federal level, Black women workers have declined by an estimated 33% within the last year, compared to only a 3.7% drop across the workforce overall. Let that sink in for a moment. The most educated group is experiencing the most severe job losses. This is what I call the paradox of progress, the bewildering reality that advancement in one area doesn't necessarily translate to advancement in others. In fact, sometimes it seems to coincide with regression. Now, you might be thinking, but we've made so much progress on diversity and inclusion. Surely things are getting better overall. The data tells a different story. Following the 2024 election, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at the federal level were systematically dismantled, creating what Leanne describes as a hostile environment for Black women in government positions. For decades, federal employment had been a pathway to middle class stability for Black women, offering better pay equity and advancement opportunities than many private sector positions. The systematic dismantling of these opportunities represents an unprecedented setback. Consider Elaine, a senior policy advisor with 15 years of federal service and two master's degrees. After the 2024 election, she watched as her department's diversity initiatives were eliminated one by one. The mentorship program she'd built to support young women of color defunded. The pay equity task force she chaired dissolved. The inclusive hiring practices she'd helped implement reversed. Within months, she found herself in a workplace that had become unrecognizable, hostile to her very presence, dismissive of her expertise, and indifferent to her contributions. I didn't leave my job, she told Leanne. My job left me. Elaine's story isn't unique. Thousands of Black women have experienced similar upheavals, watching decades of progress unravel in months. These aren't just statistics, they're lives, careers, and dreams being dramatically altered. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of them, Black women are responding with unprecedented entrepreneurship. Between 2017 and 2024, Black women owned businesses increased by over 40%, outpacing every other demographic group. By 2024, Black women own nearly 2.7 million businesses in the United States. This isn't just business growth, it's a powerful statement about creating opportunity when traditional paths are blocked. It's about refusing to accept the limitations imposed by systems that weren't designed with Black women in mind. Take Maya, who left her corporate marketing position after facing persistent microaggressions and hitting a cement ceiling. She launched a digital marketing agency specifically designed to help Black owned businesses thrive. Within 2 years, she was employing 15 people, all women of color, and generating seven-figure revenues. I couldn't change the system from within, Maya explained to Leanne, so I built my own system. Now I'm not just surviving, I'm creating opportunity for others who look like me. As Leanne powerfully stated in our interview, this entrepreneurial surge isn't just about opportunity, it's about survival and creating spaces where Black women can bring their whole selves to work without facing the discrimination common in traditional workplaces. These businesses aren't just providing economic independence for their founders, they're more likely to hire diverse employees and implement truly inclusive workplace policies. They're creating ripple effects throughout communities. But entrepreneurship shouldn't have to be the only path to economic security and professional fulfillment. And this brings me to another contradiction that Leanne highlighted in our conversation. Despite being the most educated demographic in America, Black women remain drastically underrepresented in leadership, holding only 4% of C suite positions across major U.S. companies as of 2023. This disconnect highlights that the barriers aren't about qualifications, but about systemic obstacles that persist despite educational achievements. The message seems to be education isn't enough. You can do everything right, get the degrees, gain the experience, develop the skills, and still find doors closed to you. This reality forces us to question our fundamental assumptions about how progress works in our society. We like to believe that if people just work hard enough and get enough education, success will follow. But the experience of Black women challenges this narrative. It suggests that our systems are designed to maintain certain power structures, regardless of individual merit or achievement. Yet, even in the face of these contradictions, Black women are finding ways to advance, not just individually, but collectively. While we're seeing record numbers of Black women in state legislatures, 399 in 2025, up from 386 in 2024, they still only hold 5.4% of the nation's state legislative seats, despite representing 7.8% of the population. This political underrepresentation directly impacts policies affecting Black women's economic opportunities. Take Representative Janelle Wilson, who entered politics after 20 years in corporate America. I realized that all the mentoring and networking in the world wouldn't fix broken systems, she told Leanne. We needed to change the laws, not just adapt to them. Since taking office, Representative Wilson has championed legislation addressing pay transparency, maternal health disparities, and support for women owned businesses. Her work has directly improved economic outcomes for thousands of women in her state. This increase in political representation comes after decades of systematic exclusion from political power, with Black women often facing both racial and gender barriers to participation. Beyond the numerical increase, these legislators have been instrumental in advancing policies that address pay equity, workplace discrimination, and support for women owned businesses. What's particularly fascinating about this political advancement is that it's happening simultaneously with the entrepreneurial boom. Many Black women affected by federal job losses have pivoted not just to entrepreneurship, but also to positions in state and local governments that maintain stronger DEI commitments. This dual strategy, building economic power through business ownership while also increasing political representation, represents a sophisticated response to systemic challenges. It's not about choosing one path or the other, but about recognizing that true progress requires transformation across multiple domains. As Leanne eloquently put it, while federal representation of Black women declined by 33%, there was a corresponding increase in Black women owned businesses and representation in state legislatures. This adaptability speaks to what Leanne calls the resilience response, the remarkable ability of Black women to pivot, innovate, and create new opportunities even as traditional ones disappear. But resilience shouldn't be required just to achieve basic economic security and professional respect. The fact that it is required points to deeper issues in our society that need to be addressed. So, what does all this mean for how we think about progress, success, and opportunity in America? First, it means we need to question linear narratives of progress. The idea that things are steadily getting better for all groups doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Progress can be uneven, contradictory, and reversible. Second, it means we need to recognize that individual achievement, while important, isn't sufficient to overcome systemic barriers. Education alone can't solve problems that are rooted in how our institutions and power structures function. Third, it means we need to pay attention to the innovative strategies that marginalized groups develop in response to exclusion. These strategies often contain wisdom that could benefit society as a whole. The entrepreneurial surge among Black women isn't just a response to discrimination, it's also a reimagining of what work could look like. These business owners are creating workplaces that value inclusion, flexibility, and holistic well being. They're demonstrating that it's possible to build successful businesses that don't replicate the harmful practices of traditional workplaces. I want to leave you today with both a challenge and an invitation. The paradox of progress I've described isn't just a Black women's issue, it's an American issue. When we systematically underutilize the talents, education, and leadership of any group, we all lose. We lose innovation, we lose perspective, we lose potential solutions to our most pressing problems. So here's my challenge: examine where you hold power in your workplace, your community, your networks. How might you use that power to dismantle barriers rather than reinforce them? What specific action will you take this week to either support a Black woman owned business or create more opportunity for Black women in your sphere of influence? And here's my invitation: imagine with me what our workplaces, our economy, our democracy could look like if we truly valued and empowered all people. Imagine the innovations we haven't seen, the problems we haven't solved, the potential we haven't unleashed, simply because we've accepted systems that silence and sideline certain voices. The paradox of progress reveals uncomfortable truths about our society, But within those contradictions lie the seeds of transformation if we have the courage to nurture them. Thank you